Alrighty everyone, welcome back. It is now November 14th of 2022, and we are just a couple of weeks out from the final episode of Star Wars Andor Season 1, which, by the way, the second season is already beginning filming by Tony Gilroy. They're trying to aim this thing for 2024 as a release. Now, on top of all of this, we already know that Kathleen Kennedy has been very involved with the Acolyte and Skeleton Crew and has been getting into quite a number of troublesome situations over the past couple of months for specific reasons, and one of which we'll go over today that has to do with a specific Star Wars TV show getting cancelled by Kathleen Kennedy herself. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel for future Star Wars updates. Also, by the way guys, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support. It is greatly appreciated. Now, one thing about the new universe by Favreau and Filoni is that they have been focused on reviving legends for the longest time. Now, one thing about Kathleen Kennedy is that she has complete control over the Acolyte and Skeleton Crew. We talked about this, of how the main filming, like the real meat of the actual series, is not going to begin filming until December of this year. They're doing preliminary filming right now, the little stuff, but the major stuff won't be filmed until next month. Now, on top of that, Kathleen Kennedy's been getting into a lot of trouble recently for a lot of the reshoots that have been taking place for Skeleton Crew, as well as a lot of plans shifting around for the Acolyte, bouncing back and forth. However, when it dwindles down to her mystery third Star Wars TV series that's been in limbo for a very long time, we talked about this initially, and how it basically has been on the fence for a very long time, and now finally Kathleen Kennedy was actually forced to cancel her own show by Disney executives. Now, we're going to tap into exactly what happened here. Now, with many new Star Wars TV shows currently in the works under Disney and Lucasfilm, creators Favreau and Filoni are beginning to work on new eras of the franchise and the Star Wars brand as a whole that is going to take fans by surprise. Now, it's noted that currently one of the big projects that has been in limbo for a very long time now, that has been greenlit by Kathleen Kennedy some time ago, has already been cancelled. This is described to be Kathleen Kennedy's third Star Wars TV show that she was trying to get Disney to give her permission to move forward with, that has now been cancelled by Kennedy herself officially, as it has just been finalized under her part. Now, this series that she recently cancelled was set to focus on her own version of the Old Republic era of the Star Wars franchise. Kennedy was set out to take the Old Republic and call it something new, and flipping the characters around to make it into her own version. So let me pause here quick, just to go over this for a second. Can you just imagine that, if this show actually went through, that it was going to be Kathleen Kennedy's version of the Old Republic, and it wasn't going to be called the Old Republic, it was going to be called something else. We'll talk about that in a second. And also how she was going to flip a lot of the characters around into her own versions of those characters. You know, likely switching around the names and switching around the character designs, you name it. Now, this would have been a disaster on Lucasfilm's part, on Disney's part. Disney executives knew that this was not going to work. Even Bob Chapek knew that the fans would really have a very big problem with this, especially the hardcore fans that really love and cherish the Old Republic as much as I do, by the way. It's a very well-written era that I think a lot of fans should read up on. There are a lot of books out there, like the Darth Revan book, or the Old Republic books in general. Now, on top of that, too, this is where things begin to really progress, is because this is a TV show, her third project, that she could have had complete control over. It's been being fought for by Kathleen Kennedy for multiple months now, and she wanted to begin production sometime this year. Not going to happen, and it's not going to happen ever. And this really would have failed. I believe so. I don't think it would have worked well with the ratings or the amount of people tuning in on Disney Plus. I think it would have never performed well. And when you look at it in that sense, the Old Republic as a whole, it needs to be very similar to what the books are about, to what the video games are about, you name it. Now, thankfully, John and Dave are becoming a part of that planned Old Republic trilogy, alongside with a one-off Star Wars TV show that's going to pretty much boost the familiarity to this era for the fans before that trilogy drops in theaters. And yes, they are planning to drop new movies in theaters. Now, on top of this too, this is something that Disney executives were very displeased with, and Kennedy thought that this show was going to be unprecedented and wanted to take advantage of its potential for the Star Wars universe. Kennedy was recently forced to cancel this show by Disney herself, as she recently pulled herself from the contract of the series that was greenlit back in 2018, and has been in limbo for multiple years. Kennedy was set out to change characters like Darth Revan, Malgus, and even Malak in various ways, and even wanted to rename the Old Republic to the Forgotten Republic. Disney never liked Kennedy's plans for the marketing of this, nor did they enjoy her take on changing the title and the characters completely around for this particular era in the Star Wars universe. So I think that this definitely does allude to what Kathleen Kennedy said. I believe it might have been a couple of years after Rogue One came out. Yeah, right around 2018 actually, where she was in an interview and she was answering a lot of questions about Knights of the Old Republic and just the Old Republic in general, and she said, "We talk about that every day." I think that this project, without a doubt, alludes to what she said there in that interview, where she talks about how they talk about that era every single day, about making them into a show or a movie, whatever have you. This was years ago, by the way. This was like 2018, the end of that year. Right, before The Rise of Skywalker was kind of beginning to film. So not necessarily the end. It was like right around August of that year. Now, on top of this, too, there's a lot of things going on with Kathleen Kennedy. Now, this could have potentially been her third Star Wars TV show on top of The Acolyte and Skeleton Crew. Thankfully, it's not. And most thankfully, John and Dave are working on an Old Republic trilogy as co-writers, not the main writers, but as co-writers. But they will also be involved in an Old Republic Star Wars live-action series that's going to be used as a tool to boost the familiarity for casual fans and new fans alike that have never really researched about the Old Republic, to get a little bit of a basic idea of what it's about before they drop this new trilogy in a couple of years from now. So there's a lot of things going on by Disney. I'm glad that they forced Kathleen Kennedy to cancel this herself, to sign herself off of the contract, and just end the show completely, finally. We talked about this, of how it's been in limbo now for well over 3 years, on and off, and it's just not happening officially now, which is great. Thankfully, now the Old Republic is in good hands. It's in John and Dave's hands with the help of Lucas, and I think that they're going to really do an excellent job. They have a lot of talent, they have a lot of great resources for the Legends material to pull from, and not only that, they are very passionate creators. Not just creators, but fans. And I think that's the type of people that you need, like John and Dave, right? So with that being all done and said, guys, there's a lot of things that are coming out of this too, that we will be talking about later on. But let me know what you guys have to say about all of this below in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
From night to moon, we hear them moans again.